quick question. Have you ever said something out loud to another human in real time and watched your own mouth betray you mid-sentence?
Something mean or careless, something that made complete sense inside of your head but landed in the room as something completely different.
And then tried to fix it and made it worse. And then fixed the fix and somehow introduced a piece of gym equipment that doesn't exist.
We are obviously speaking hypothetically.
Obviously, completely hypothetically.
Today we are putting the ADHD blurting under the microscope. Not the thoughtless blurt, not the rude blurt, the sincere, well-intentioned, thoroughly pre-planned blurt that your brain hit send on before you finish writing the text.
Why it happens, what the true cost is, and what to do about it that isn't just pause before you speak on a sticky note.
Oh, really? Because if that sticky note worked, none of us would be here.
We would be somewhere much quieter.
On a private jet with Spaghetti Bear, somewhere warm.
We've said too much already.
As a reminder, before we head into the lab, everything we covered today, the science, the strategies, all of it, not Spaghetti Bear's flight plan though, lives in the show notes. No writing required, just listen.
Listen and cringe. Hey, let's go into the lab.
The data does not collect itself.
Does not.
Welcome to the ADHD Cringe Lab, the only place on the worldwide Webitron where your most embarrassing moments are considered valuable scientific data.
Every week, we take one cringy, chaotic, and completely relatable moment, and we put it under the microscope.
We act it out, we break down the neuroscience behind it, and we give you actual tools to handle it better the next time.
Because understanding why your brain does what it does, that's where the shame stops and the strategy starts.
I'm Stephanie, and this is Faylene. We're two ADHD coaches collecting cringe data in and outside of the lab.
Our lives are just one big ADHD scientific experiment.
I'm coming to you live from the U.S. Research Wing.
And I am joining from the Canadian Research Wing.
Two labs.
One mission.
Open borders. Equal cringe.
And absolutely no idea what time it actually is. And nobody
Stopped us.
us.
Okay, and keeping watch over the lab, as always,
Our Chief Cringe Officer, the ADHD Spaghetti Bear.
can you see him?
Yeah.
Whoa. Right?
Yeah, he's got quite the look on.
Well, you know what? We're starting a series. Today's one of 4, hence the number. He's in a gym, and he is ready for workout. So, yeah.
The gold chain does something to his output, I understand.
Yeah, confirmed. The data supports this. Okay, so today's experiment is the very first in a very special 4-part series we are calling BAIL. B-A-I-L. 4 episodes, 4 communication patterns that the ADHD brain does in conversation. And not out of rudeness or carelessness, but because of the way our brains are actually wired.
4 ways that we actually make connection harder when all we wanted to do was actually connect.
Today we're starting with B. 1 gym, 2 people who are about to become friends, and a brain that has 3 Tuesdays worth of prep work and still manage to introduce a piece of gym equipment that doesn't exist. Today's experiment is a communication one, and what happens when your brain has something true and something sincere to say and carefully considered to say.
And sends it out, though, before the packaging was ready.
Right. We are calling this the unfiltered broadcast.
1 gym, 2 people, 3 Tuesdays worth of prep work.
And a rowing machine that doesn't exist.
Today's experiment may cause secondhand cringe, mild sympathetic embarrassment,
So put on your safety vest and grab your fidget spinners.
and your rubber chicken, if you choose.
Oh, and you're choosing.
I'm choosing.
All right.
So, let's start the experiment. Side effects are expected.
Yes. Okay, but first we need to take a reading of the current cringe climate.
Every episode, we take a quick reading of how ADHD life is treating us this week, this day, this hour. Think of it as our pre-experiment data collection.
Right. Okay, so Do you have any cringe to share? How are you feeling?
I am feeling very cringy.
Okay.
And
Well, you're at the right place. Welcome.
right, thank you.
Welcome, caller.
And so, Steph, you're totally gonna kill me. Because remember, just before the episode, I had a great cringe story.
You
and
did.
Now you've asked me about it.
Yes.
And I didn't write it down. But I prepped it in my head, maybe not 3 Tuesdays worth. And it's gone.
What
It
was
is
it?
gone. So, and here I am sitting in full frontal cringe because I was really happy with it. It was like, oh my gosh, I gotta share this with, with Steph and
The world.
our cringe contingent, and it's gone. So, I think that is definitely an episode.
The working memory poof.
I drew a blank.
Ah, you know what?
And I
Because
drew a blank in front of people. I drew a blank, and it's gone as if it never existed. And I had mentally worked very hard on crafting it and saying, "Oh yeah, gone."
And I can't remember.
So,
And you just told me like 5 minutes ago. So I'm sharing your cringe. And as we said just a couple episodes ago, that cringe shared is cringe. What was it? It's a lighter load when you share your cringe?
lighter load when you share the cringe.
Yes. Okay.
So-
So I can't remember, but I'll remember halfway through it. I'm like, oh, it was the thing.
It was
The
thing.
sandwiches
So,
or the Scrabble or the thing.
something about the sandwiches and the Scrabble.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we should just head to the lab or does Spaghetti
Let's
Bear
just
even
head
want
to
to
the
rate
lab.
this? There's nothing to rate. He's just disappointed.
There's nothing to rate. Spaghetti Bear, I have failed you.
You're lucky he's in a good mood because it's chain here. Okay. Let's go to the lab.
Let's go to the lab. Okay. You've done this 100 times. You say hi. She says hi. It's fine. Today's just more, just a little more, just one actual conversation starter, and we're in new territory. So let's try. Hey, did you try that new Tuesday class yet? I keep meaning to go. Yeah, that felt good. Sup? Okay. All right. So, where was I? Natural person energy. Curious. Shows I pay attention. Let me try this again. Hey, did you try that Tuesday class? It was a little too breezy. Hey. Okay. Where was I again? All right. Tuesday class. That's it. That's the whole plan.
Sup, bro?
Sup? I have had this plan for 3 Tuesdays. We can do this. Today is the day. Today is the day. Yes.
Hey.
You, don't really fit in here.
I'm sorry?
Oh, no, wait, sorry. That actually was a compliment. I meant it as a compliment because you seem different, like normal.
Thanks.
I mean, not that everyone else isn't. I mean, they're just very optimized.
Optimized.
Like biohacked, kind of synergized, that kind of optimized. There's like a whole ecosystem happening over there.
Sup, bro?
Sup?
So, how long have you been coming here?
I've been watching you. Not in a weird way, like in a noticing way, in a like casual people notice each other at the gym sort of way, like two people who are members of the same gym who will obviously notice each other because they both use the same machines. Not that I'm waiting for you to hurry up and to finish. Like, you are 100% not inconveniencing me or slowing down my workout, like, at all. I mean, even if you were, it'd be totally okay, because you have every right to use the whichever machine you want for however long you want. I mean, I'm not suggesting you need to use it more, because actually I think you look great, but in a casual noticing way, I notice, not in a watching you way. Those are two very different things, and I need you to know that I know that those are different things.
We don't have a rowing machine.
I know that.
She said, I don't fit in here, which was a compliment. About being normal, which is also a compliment. And then she told me I wasn't inconveniencing her on a rowing machine that we don't actually have, which she knew.
We don't have a rowing machine here. We don't have a rowing machine. And I told her I wasn't waiting for the rowing machine, the one that does not exist in this building. And why did I say rowing machine? Why did I say any of that? The Tuesday class. I had the Tuesday class right there. It was right there. Okay. It's not that bad. She's still here. She didn't walk off. She said, sup. We both said, sup, twice. She said, thanks, when I called her normal. So that's positive. That's data. I just need to say one completely unremarkable thing, like one normal sentence, and we reset. I have normal things to say. I know how to say normal things. I just need to deploy one right now.
Oh, what do you like about this gym?
Okay, this is it. This is it. Normal question, normal answer, normal question, normal answer. I've got this. You wipe down other people's equipment.
What?
When people leave without wiping down their machines, you do it for them. You don't make a thing of it. You just, like last Tuesday, that guy with the aggressive influencer setup, the one with the GoPro camera arm lighting, you know, that whole thing. He left the bench a complete disaster and just walked away, and you just, without even looking around to see if anybody noticed. I noticed.
Wow, that is a really unique thing to remember.
I know. I'm sorry.
Stop, bro.
I had a whole
Sup?
normal thing I was going to say, and then there's just a lot happening in here sometimes, most of the time. Actually, pretty much always.
Sup?
Sup.
Hi, I'm Raven.
Hi, Dakota.
Stop, bro.
Sup?
Sup.
Stop, bro.
See you around. Later, bro.
Bro. I said you don't fit in here. I said, I've been watching you. I spoke at length about gym machines that don't exist. I told her I watched her wipe off benches. But she told me her name. I don't know what happened here, but I think it was good. You know what? I'm going to call it good.
All right, lab coats on. What you just witnessed was not Dakota being socially incompetent, awkward, or fundamentally incapable of talking to another human being. What you watched was a textbook ADHD blurting cascade. And it started way before Dakota opened her mouth.
Let's go back to the beginning, because the part that doesn't get talked about enough, and I mean really talked about, and not just mentioned in an aside, is the ADHD social overpreparing trap. Doomsday communication prepping gone wrong. Dakota didn't walk into that gym unprepared. Dakota was overprepared. Count 'em, 3 Tuesdays of rehearsal. A perfectly reasonable opening line. An entire plan.
And the moment Raven said, "Hey," poof, it was gone. Every carefully constructed word vanished. And if you've ever stood in that moment, you really prepared for it and watched your brain serve up absolutely none of what you rehearsed, that's not a confidence problem. That is a working memory problem.
Dr. Russell Barkley, whose work on executive function and ADHD is foundational, describes ADHD as fundamentally a problem of not knowing what to do, but of doing what you know in the moment that it matters. So it's not a condition of knowing, but a condition of doing. Working memory, which is the executive functioning, which is charged with the ability to hold information online and use it in real time, is one of the most consistently impaired functions in the ADHD brain.
Under normal circumstances, Dakota's working memory just might have held that Tuesday class line fine, but this was not a normal condition. This was a social situation Dakota cared about, which means cortisol, which means heightened emotional state, which means the very thing Dakota needed most access to, that rehearsed script, was the first casualty.
This is what researchers called working memory failure under social load. So the more emotionally significant the interaction, the less reliable working memory becomes, which is a particularly cruel design flaw if you think about it. The conversations that matter most are exactly the ones your brain is least equipped to execute as planned.
So what comes out instead? Whatever is on top of the pile. And for Dakota, what was on top of the pile was the conclusion of a genuinely sweet, carefully reasoned internal monologue about why Raven was different from everyone else in the tech bro gym. The whole thought process was there. Raven just got the last line.
And this is the piece that I really want you to hear, because this is what makes ADHD blurting different than just saying something dumb. Dakota did not blurt something random. She blurted something true, something that had been thought through carefully and arrived at sincerely. The filter didn't fail because Dakota wasn't thinking. The filter failed because the ADHD brain skipped the distribution step and went straight to broadcast.
Dr. Barkley calls this inhibition deficit, the inability to pause between impulse and action long enough for the brain's editing system to do its job. But what he's also very clear about, this isn't a character flaw. It isn't rudeness. It isn't a lack of social awareness. It is a neurological difference in how quickly the prefrontal cortex can intercept an outgoing thought.
So the prefrontal cortex is your brain's editorial department. It's supposed to catch the thought, run it through a few questions. Is this relevant? Is this appropriate? Is this the right moment? And then decide whether it goes out. In the ADHD brain, that editorial process runs slower than the impulse, so the thought goes out before the editorial has finished its review.
Which brings us to the repair cascade. Because Dakota's story didn't end with the first blurt, it got worse. It got worse in a very particular and recognizable way.
Every single repair attempt cost Dakota more than the last one. So the rowing machine wasn't a new mistake. It was the bill coming due for the 3 previous recovery attempts. Because, again, here's what nobody talks about. ADHD conversation repair is expensive. Every time you catch a blurt and then try to walk it back, you're spending executive function. And executive function is not an unlimited resource.
Dr. John Rady, and we are really thrilled to properly introduce him to the lab today because his work alongside Dr. Hollowell on the ADHD brain's relationship with stimulation, novelty, and social connection is extraordinary. Dr. Rady describes the ADHD brain as essentially running hotter than a neurotypical brain in emotionally charged situations. More activation, more urgency, more noise.
which means that by the time Dakota got to the rowing machine, her brain was running on significantly less bandwidth than when she started. Not because she isn't smart, she's very smart. Not because she doesn't know how to have a conversation, but because she already spent 3 rounds of executive function on damage control, and the tank was running low on gas.
And Dr. Edward Hollowell, our other dear, dear friend.
Our very close personal colleague.
Yes. I feel like right now, before we forget, we should say that we actually don't know them personally, but we respect them and we know the research.
Mad respect.
Yes. Okay. So Dr. Edward Hollowell, whose research on
Not a close personal friend.
whose research on ADHD and emotional impulsivity is some of the most important in the field, makes a distinction that I think is the most underexplored piece in this whole conversation. There is behavioral impulsivity, the blurt that comes from excitement or not being able to wait your turn. And then there's emotional impulsivity, that blurt that comes from feeling something so strongly that the feelings become words before editing can even happen.
Dakota's blurt was emotional impulsivity, not behavioral. Dakota wasn't excited or impatient. She was moved, genuinely moved by a small, quiet kindness that she had watched Raven perform without an audience. And that feeling came out as words before any editing could occur.
Most ADHD Reddit groups and podcasts talk about blurting as a behavioral problem with behavioral solutions, the 3-second rule, the pause, the sticky note on your desk. And those tools are real, and we will get to them.
But they address behavioral impulsivity. They don't address what happens when the blurt isn't random, when it's sincere and specific and true and just catastrophically timed, when the content was actually good and the delivery was the problem.
Which brings us to another important and under talked about piece in this episode, the accidental authenticity paradox.
Wait, sorry, did you just make that up?
I think Spaghetti Bear may have had a handle on it, actually.
That tracks. He's been pretty inspired lately.
Yeah, well, the gold chain adds to his creativity, his output.
Confirmed. The data supports this.
Okay, back in the gym, Raven stayed. Not despite the blurts, and in some way because of them. Because of what Dakota's ADHD no filter delivered 3 times in an increasingly unhinged form, was someone who was genuinely paying attention, really noticing, really sincere to perform through a casual gym conversation.
And the bench wipe detail, the specific, observed, remembered kindness was something no rehearsed Tuesday class line could ever really have delivered because it was real. It was unscripted. It was Dakota's actual inner world walking out the door without a coat on.
Okay, we want to be very careful here because we are absolutely not about to tell you that blurting is a superpower and you should just lean into it and everything will work out fine like it did for Dakota.
Right. The accidental authenticity paradox is not a strategy. It is a data point. Sometimes the unfiltered truth connects and it lands, but sometimes it costs you a friendship, a job, a relationship, a room that goes very quiet. The goal is not to blurt freely and hope for the best.
The goal, and this is what the B in bail is really about, is to understand what your brain is actually doing when it blurts, because you cannot work with something you don't understand. And shame is the worst possible response to a neurological event that was never fully in your control.
Dakota spent 3 Tuesdays preparing. Her brain still went rogue. This is not a failure of effort. In fact, that preparation was a lot of work. This is social anxiety doing exactly what it does. The more you care, the harder your brain works to prepare, and the less reliable the preparation is to hold under pressure.
The ADHD social exhaustion that follows a conversation like that one, the replay, the cringe spiral, the why did I say rowing machine is real, It is documented. Dr. Rady's research on the ADHD brain's elevated baseline activation means that social interactions cost more energy than they appear from the outside. Dakota looked fine. Dakota was running a full systems audit the entire time.
Which Raven did not know, which is why Raven said, I'm Raven, like it was easy, because for Raven, it was.
Yeah, and for Dakota, it was 3 Tuesdays and a rowing machine.
The data, as Dakota said, is inconclusive.
But we're calling it good. So if you just watched that skit and felt every single second of Dakota's rehearsal evaporate the moment Raven said, hey.
And if you recognize the non-existent rowing machine, if you have ever said something completely unhinged and then kept talking anyway because stopping felt worse than contributing.
Yeah. And if you've ever walked away from a conversation that you could not fully call disaster or triumph, just inconclusive, and then spent the next 45 minutes replaying every word, trying to figure out which one it was.
Only 45 minutes? That would be nice. We see you. We are you. And before we tell you what to do, we want to sit here for just a moment because the science explains the blurt. It does not sit with you in the car after.
And what we're about to do, and yes, this is also us teaching you a skill, because the ADHD brain does not like uncertainty. It wants to resolve. It wants to know right now, was it good? Was it bad? Success, failure, funny, catastrophic. We're going to sit with it. That's a pause. And
sometimes the honest answer is we actually don't know yet. And get this, we may never know. The data is still coming in, and learning to stay in that space without spinning is one of the most useful things that you can practice.
Sit with the ick. Trademark pending.
Spaghetti Bear approves.
His approval is the only one that matters. Welcome to the validation station.
Did you see yourself in that skit? Because I did. The overpreparing, the perfectly reasonable plan that completely dissolved on contact with the actual human, the repair attempt that somehow made everything worse, and the repair of the repair of the repair that introduced a piece of gym equipment that doesn't exist.
And yet, Raven stayed. Raven laughed. Raven said her name. And Dakota had absolutely no idea why any of that happened because she was too busy running the post-blurt systems audit to notice that the conversation had quietly turned into something real.
That gap between your ADHD brain, what it's telling you is happening in a social interaction and what's actually happening is one of the most exhausting and least talked about parts of the whole experience. You're managing the conversation, you're monitoring the conversation, and you're repairing the conversation. Oh, don't forget, you're catastrophizing the conversation all at the same time.
While appearing completely normal on the outside.
Right? While also appearing completely normal from the outside, which Raven confirmed because Raven had no idea.
Friend, you are not broken. You are not socially incompetent. You are not the person who always says the wrong thing or ruins the moment or makes it weird.
You're someone whose brain moves faster than its own filter, whose sincerity sometimes arrives before its packaging, whose empathy and care for others is so genuine and so specific that it occasionally bypasses every social norm on its way out the door.
And yes, sometimes that costs you. Sometimes the room goes quiet in the wrong way. Sometimes the repair cascade introduces a rowing machine, and we are not going to pretend otherwise.
But sometimes, and this is the part that we really should say more often, sometimes the unfiltered truth is the most connecting thing in the room because everyone else is performing. Everyone else has a script. And then there's you, noticing that Raven wiped down a stranger's bench on a Tuesday without looking around to see if anyone saw.
And of course, when you are replaying the entire interaction in your head at 3 a.m., feeling absolutely certain there was also a live studio audience of 47 people who witnessed every word and are still talking about it, when in reality no one saw or no one cared enough to remember.
Oh, yeah, the 3 a.m. highlight reel, sponsored by your amygdala.
Every time.
The blurting started for a reason. Your brain found something true and important, and it couldn't wait. It has never really been able to wait, has it? And you've spent a lot of years being told that that's a problem. In classrooms, in meetings, dinner tables, conversations where you watched somebody's face shift and you knew immediately whatever just came out of your mouth was supposed to come out.
Mm-hmm. And the shame that follows that moment is real. The replay is real. The why did I say that? Why did I do that? Why can't I just be normal spiral is also real, and we're not skipping past it.
No, we're not. We're sitting with it right here because you have earned that. Every version of you that rehearsed something 3 Tuesdays in a row and still went rogue, that person was trying so hard. That person cared so much. That person deserves more than a sticky note that says, pause before speaking.
Right. And you deserve to understand why your brain does what it does and to have tools that actually match your neurology instead of someone else's idea of what a normal conversation looks like.
And you deserve to know the thing that makes you blurt, the speed, the sincerity, the inability to perform your way through something that you actually feel is one of the things that makes you absolutely interesting to talk to.
When you're not introducing rowing machines.
When you're not introducing rowing machines, yeah.
Which, to be fair, that really clarified things.
It really did.
You are not too much. You have just been in a lot of conversations that were too small for you and what you actually had to say.
And whatever awkwardness awaits.
That's the cringe.
That's the cringe.
We're here for.
We're here for.
But real quick, if the lab is your kind of place, hit follow wherever you're listening. It's the fastest way to make sure the next experiment finds you.
Future you will not remember to come back and look for us. We know this about you.
We know this about ourselves.
Hit follow right now while you're thinking about it.
Okay, back to the lab. We have witnessed the blurt. We have explained the science. We've sat with the rowing machine. Now let's talk about what to actually do with it.
4 protocols, and I want to say up front, some of these we have personally road tested in the field on ourselves repeatedly. And some of these we know work because we've watched them work for clients. Both count as data.
And all of it is in the show notes, as always, because we know you're driving or folding laundry or pretending to be in a meeting right now, and you're not writing any of this down.
No judgment, only science.
Okay, Protocol 1, name the broadcast.
Not the thought, the feeling.
This is the piece that most blurting advice completely skips. The 3-second rule, the pause, the sticky note, all of those assume the problem is a thought that moved too fast. But as we just established in the dissection, Dakota's blurt wasn't a random thought. It was a feeling that became words, a sincere, specific, emotionally loaded, completely unedited feeling.
So, before you can intercept a blurt, you have to learn to recognize what it feels like in your body 1 beat before it happens, not the thought. The physical signal that precedes it, that urgency, the I need to say this right now feeling that has very specific energy if you start paying attention to it.
Yeah, and for some people, it's a physical sensation in the chest or the throat. For some, it's kind of a pressure behind the eyes. And for some, it's almost an electric quality. The thought is already moving and you can feel the momentum of it. When you want to say something really bad, are you leaning forward, clenching your jaw, clenching your hands? What's the physical cue your body's giving you?
And the protocol isn't to suppress it. It's just to see it coming, to feel it, to recognize it, and name it internally. There it is, the broadcast feeling. Because naming it creates just enough separation between the feeling and the action to give your editorial department a fighting chance.
And you will not catch it every time. Just like Pokemon. I'm sorry, I just thought of them. Got to catch them all. You are not supposed to catch it every time, just like Pokemon. And this is a noticing practice. It is not a perfection practice. The goal is 1 beat of awareness before the blurt. Just 1. And over time, the beat becomes a little longer.
Yeah, think of it as training your editorial department. It has been chronically understaffed. You are hiring.
Protocol 2, drop the script, as I just did.
Ooh. This one is personal.
The over-rehearsal trap is its own problem, and it is so specific to the ADHD brain that I am surprised it doesn't have more airtime. Dakota rehearsed the Tuesday class line into the ground 3 Tuesdays, and it evaporated the moment Raven appeared.
Because the more you rehearse something, the more pressure you attach to it. And the pressure is exactly what collapses working memory under social load. So you arrive at the conversation carrying both the anxiety of the interaction and the weight of a script that you're now terrified of dropping. So you, in fact, have 2 jobs instead of 1.
The protocol is intentional underpreparing. Instead of scripting a paragraph, script 1 word. 1 question, 1 observation, something so small that working memory can actually hold it under pressure.
Did you try the Tuesday class? Is 6 words. Dakota could have held 6 words. Dakota could not hold 6 words plus 3 Tuesdays of emotional investment, plus the entire internal case for why Raven was different from the optimization ecosystem. So,
Less on the hook means less to drop, and less to drop means more actual bandwidth for the real conversation, the conversation that actually happens instead of the one you rehearse for.
which actually is almost never the same conversation anyway.
Almost never.
So let's move on to protocol 3, rewind and repair.
Blurts happen. This is not a protocol for preventing them. This is a protocol for what you do in the 30 seconds after.
Because Dakota's repair cascade failed, not because she tried to fix it, but because every fix added more content, more explanation, more context, more rowing machines. Each attempt was longer and more elaborate than the last one, and frankly cost more executive function than she had available.
The protocol is the opposite. Short, clean, 1 sentence. That came out wrong. What I meant was, and then the true version in as few words as possible, not the whole internal monologue, not the explanation of the explanation, just the true version.
And then stop talking.
Ugh. That last part is load-bearing.
It really is. The ADHD brain wants to keep going, wants to make absolutely sure that the other person understood, wants to fill the silence that follows the repair because silence after a blurt feels like judgment, when it isn't.
The silence is actually your friend. It's giving the other person a moment to recalibrate. Let it. Learn to be comfortable in awkward silences, or at least learn to feel a little bit less on fire during them.
Say the true version. Stop talking. Let the silence do its job.
Hey, and if the repair doesn't land perfectly, if you still feel like they didn't fully understand, Protocol 3 has a second step, which is let it go for now. You can always come back to it. You do not have to resolve it in the same breath. Put a pin in it. Park it in the parking lot. This is different than just forget it. By saying this, you're telling your brain, hey, I understand that this moment is important and we will think about it, just not right now.
Which brings us very naturally to Protocol 4.
Protocol 4, run the experiment.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
And I want to say something about this one before we get into it, because it came from a real place for me, and I think it will resonate for a lot of you or for people you love. Many students that I've worked with over the years are especially prone to social anxiety. It's not uncommon and it's completely normal, particularly when the brain is still growing and developing and every social interaction feels like it carries enormous weight. And often these kids, their real goals aren't academic at all. They are deeply motivated by connection, by friendships, by belonging, probably to the quiet disappointment of a parent or two has just coming for straight A's.
Relatable, both as the kid and possibly the parent.
Oh, gosh. I worked with a 17-year-old a few years ago who was exceptionally bright STEM student. One-on-one, he was engaging, funny, clever. But in groups of his peers, even with people he had grown up with, he found himself withdrawing more and more. And the anxiety wasn't about knowing what to say, it was about the stakes feeling so high that any attempt felt like a test he had already failed before he opened his mouth.
Which is the worst kind of stuck. Because the thing you want most is the thing that feels most dangerous to reach for.
Yeah, exactly. So we came up with a way for him to try on social interactions without the weight of pass fail attached to them, to experiment with different approaches the way a scientist experiments, with curiosity about the outcome rather than the terror of the action. We reframed the whole thing. He wasn't going to go have a conversation and try not to mess it up. He was going to go run an experiment and collect data.
Scientists don't fail experiments. They collect data.
So true. So before each social interaction, he would form a hypothesis, not, I hope this goes well, but a real hypothesis, something specific, observable. I think I will feel the urge to say something off topic in the first 2 minutes. I think the other person will look confused. I think I will want to explain myself and make it worse. He would write these down, and then he would go run the experiment.
And then you debrief.
Yeah, then we debrief. Was the hypothesis correct? What actually happened? What would he adjust for the next time he ran the experiment? He did not succeed or fail. Did the data match the prediction? And if not, why not? And what does this tell us about the next hypothesis?
The scientific layer gave him something that anxiety couldn't touch.
Objectively, he wasn't a kid failing at a social interaction. He was a researcher collecting data on social interaction. Those are completely different psychological positions. He became the observer instead of the defendant, curious instead of terrified. And that shift, hypothesis by hypothesis, changed everything. Not overnight, but over time, it really changed.
Yes, and he also realized that he could do scary things and survive them. And this is what Protocol 4 looks like in practice. Before a conversation you're anxious about, especially one where you know blurting is a risk, form a hypothesis. I think I might blurt something in the first 30 seconds. I hypothesize that I will want to over-explain. And I further hypothesize that working memory is going to drop my script. Write it down if you can. Say it out loud if you can't write it down.
Yeah, and then go run the experiment, not perform the conversation, run the experiment. Stay curious about what actually happens instead of terrified what might happen.
And afterward, even just 30 seconds of debrief in your head, in your car, in your notes app. Was the hypothesis correct? What did you notice? What would you adjust?
And over time, the hypotheses, they get more accurate, which means the self-awareness gets sharper, which means the broadcast feeling from Protocol 1 gets easier to catch, which means the script from Protocol 2 gets lighter, which means the repair from Protocol 3 gets cleaner.
And you can see how they build on each other.
They really do. And there's something underneath all four of them that we are going to talk about a lot more in future episodes. Something about entering conversations with curiosity instead of dread, about staying open to what actually happens instead of trying to control the outcome.
That sounds like it might be its own protocol someday.
It might be. The data is still coming in.
Spaghetti Bear is consulting.
Obviously.
All right. The lab door is open, and after today, we know something is sitting right at the surface for a lot of you.
Maybe you have your own rowing machine. Something you said in the middle of a repair attempt that introduced a completely new problem that had nothing to do with the original problem.
Maybe you have 3 Tuesdays of your own, a conversation that you've been rehearsing for so long, the script has drafts.
And maybe you said something true and sincere and completely unhinged to someone you were trying to impress. And you have been replaying it at 3 a.m. ever since, certain that everyone in the room saw and certain it is still being discussed.
Spoiler, probably no one saw. You're amygdala is a very unreliable narrator.
We want your blurt, the one that lives rent-free in your head, the one you told your best friend about, and they laughed so hard and then said, you have to send it to the lab.
Yeah, you do.
Mhm.
We will put it under the microscope. We will find the science inside it. And we will prove to you that you are absolutely not the only one whose editorial department has gone rogue at the worst possible moment.
And we have one more question for you this week.
Ooh, this is going to be good.
What is your gym? Not literally. We mean like, where does your ADHD brain choose to broadcast the unfiltered truth at the most inconvenient moment possible?
Because for Dakota, it was the gym. But we know for some of you, it's a work meeting.
For some of you, it's a first date.
For some of you, it's Thanksgiving dinner and you've been exiled to the kids' table ever since.
Or the Boxing Day dinner table.
That can happen.
Is that Canadian? There you go.
There you go.
For some of you listening right now to this podcast, you just remembered something you said in 2019 that you have never recovered from.
Ooh, the 2019 ones are particularly welcome. Those have had time to ferment.
Drop it in the comments. Email us at the ADHDspaghettibear@gmail.com. Remember the THE before the ADHD. Ooh, I like that. Remember the THE before the ADHD. Spaghetti Bear requires a formality.
He has standards.
He really does. Or click the link in the description to fill out our Cringe confession form. Anonymous submissions are always welcome.
Your disaster could be our next experiment.
No judgment. Only science. Oh, that was nice. Okay. Experiment concluded. ADHD blurting is real, it is neurological, and you are not broken for doing it. You are someone whose sincerity moves faster than your filter. And now you have 4 protocols to work with.
Protocol 1. Name the broadcast, not the thought, the feeling. Learn to recognize your personal pre-blurt signal and beat it before it happens.
Protocol 2. Drop the script. Intentionally underprepare. 1 word, 1 genuine question. Less on the hook means less working memory to drop under pressure.
Protocol 3. The rewind and repair. Short, clean, 1 sentence. Say the true version and stop talking. Let silence do its job.
And protocol 4, run the experiment. Enter conversations as a scientist, not a defendant. Form a hypothesis, collect the data, debrief without judgment.
And remember, the data is always coming in.
Even at 3 a.m.
Especially at 3 a.m. Your amygdala is an unreliable narrator at 3 a.m.
Yeah, file that one away. Dakota called it good.
The data was inconclusive, but she called it good.
And that's the protocol underneath all of the protocols. When in doubt, call it good.
Until next time, keep experimenting.
And try not to
And try not to
die
of
embarrassment.
embarrassment. We're getting pretty close. We'll be able to say that together in no time. Hit follow right now while you're thinking about it.
And future you will not remember to come back and look for us. We know this about you. We know this about ourselves.
And if the lab is your kind of place, leave us a review. 30 seconds from you helps another ADHD brain find us.
And every follow, every review, every share puts us in front of someone who needs to hear that their brain isn't broken.
It's just wired differently.
Help us find them.
We'll be here.
In the lab.
Obviously.